I've never been like the cool guy, you know? And my band is never gonna be like the cool band or the hip band. I mean, it's, for one thing, it's like throwback stuff. It doesn't really have like an angle.
Hold you right up your beacon. Pull me northward in my car. You don't have to hit the big time, baby. We know who you are. I got friends in LA County, where the hillsides shine like stars, and the people flow like gold dust through the Red Rock District bars. Hold you right up your beacon. You pull me westward in my
One day I just, was that song, 1,000 Boys. It's kind of like me excusing myself for all of the songs I'm about to write. You know, that's like the point of it, was to be like, okay, these are gonna be like really mundane and they're not gonna be love songs and like no one's gonna cry or anything. It's just, and then after I like got that out, I felt better about writing songs.
There's 1,000 boys with their hearts in their mouths. So at night,
Yeah, what I try to do is just to treat it kind of like a 9 to 5 to the extent that I can. And I mean, like a good week for me, the week that I strive for, and at this point, the week that makes me happy is the one where I'm, you know, here working by like 9:30 or 10, and I work until about 4:30 or 5. And most of that's recording. The tough part is just all this sort of, I don't know if it's all completely necessary, but I don't know, you want to do a good job, and you want to be thorough. I just feel like there's enough mediocre stuff out there that if I can keep it from being mediocre, it's worth however much time I put into it. We had a pretty cool band teacher over at LTMS, and he showed us the blues scale, which I'm 100% sure was not on the syllabus, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, let me show you guys something. And I like played through it and I was like, oh yeah, I know that sound, you know? So, I mean, I feel like that's so, being into pentatonic scales is so cliche, it's ridiculous, but yeah, I'm into them. And I went to Lafayette, so I was around all the Scapa kids and all that stuff. So I mean, I think if nothing else, I had a good pool of creative people around me. The way I like to do it is all together, but you know, sometimes you just do it a million times, and so I mean, more so lately I've started keeping different takes. Anyone that's like almost good, I'll keep, and then like Summer Song was very pieced together. This song isn't hard to sing, so there's an excellent chance that I could get a full run through, assuming I remember the lyrics.
The beast went underground, most of the scores were never settled. And I think I read it in a book, but I was held up at the library by a sympathetic look. I don't know. It takes diligence and luck to keep your money from the devil. It's a business of its own just to keep marching on the level.
The disgusting thing about technology these days, I mean, I think there's times where I've almost cut, and I think I may have cut in the same word, where I've like gotten sharp at the end of it, or like screwed up done something, not held it long enough. I mean, if you finesse it right, you can do all sorts of ridiculous editing. I think Lexington is and always has been, I think, a really interesting music scene. Boom slang is sort of a testament to the fact that it's kind of like the nuts are controlling the asylum, sort of. I feel like most towns, the people that do the music, or the people that sort of organize the music, are going to be, music businessy sorts, or like venue owner types. And it's like the RFL crowd, as long as I can remember, has just, there are other people involved, obviously. It's not just them, but I feel like the heart of it is kind of with them. So I think that makes for an interesting scene, It's really funny, actually. When I was in like the late 90s, early 2000s, there was, I guess maybe there still is, I couldn't tell you, but there was a huge all ages scene. It was mostly like punk and hardcore and emo and whatever, and I mean, I never saw anything about it in any of the local papers, It was just sort of this like underground thing at like the Y, and Arts Place was another big venue. I mean, it was an amazing thing to be able to do when you're like 17, go play a show for, 200 kids or whatever. It was pretty wild. Even if it was at a Y and we got absolutely no money for it ever, which still totally fascinates me to this day, that we were that young that we were like, oh, the rent was all of the money that was made tonight? That's how much it cost to rent out the Y? Okay, that's cool. We're just here to rock. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I didn't need the money. That and, like karaoke bars, I feel like that's where I learned the most, is between those two things, for sure. I feel like it's sort of cheap of me to keep hitting those same songs, but I do have some comfort songs, like Fly Me to the Moon. I like to do that one, and sometimes I like to do a little Bryan Adams. I'm not sure why, actually. Bryan Adams is not an influence, but for some reason it's fun to sing Summer '69. I couldn't tell you why, but it works for me. It works for my voice,
I got my first real 6-string, bought it at a 5 and dime, played it till my fingers bled. It was the summer of '69. Something like that.
For the first time, really, there is a musician middle class. People getting licensing money or running like smaller studios in smaller cities, and there's still tons of completely impoverished musicians, as many or more, but the high, the top of the heap, they've thinned out, and the money's sort of trickled down to all these mid-level people, which I think is ultimately better. So yeah, I think it's a real exciting time for music, and the other thing, recording equipment is so much more affordable. You can make a great record on, a couple $1,000. I mean, with your own, you could buy the equipment and make the record, assuming you already had guitars and stuff. One thing that's happened in the 90s and even in like the early 2000s, licensing, having songs on TV, particularly in commercials, but yeah, TV shows, you're a sellout, and you'd pretty much be shunned, and now it's like no one bats an eye, thank God. I had one song in this teeny bopper vampire show called Vampire Diaries. That was the first one I had, and then there were two. This show Private Practice, it's like a spin-off of Grey's Anatomy. I had a couple on that, and those were cool. They were like features, sort of. You could. It was like as it transitions from one scene to the next. So that was really cool. The exciting one coming up though is that HBO show, Bored to Death. That's going to be the ending credits. So that's pretty insane, and I'm kind of nervous about it, actually. I mean, it's the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me. I mean, it's weird. I mean, I kind of just feel like I won the lottery, sort of. I don't feel like I don't deserve it, but I feel like, you know, it's luck, basically. That to get to the point where someone would even hear it to make that decision. Because there's just so much stuff out there, and I just can't believe it happened. But it's pretty exciting. I mean, I've got melodies just, you know, they're always just like running through my head willy-nilly, you know. So basically it's like I'm waiting for a line, and when the line pops into my head, I'm like, okay, what's it? Like I'll be, I don't know, just going about my day, and I'll see something, and some little description of what I'm seeing will sort of pop into my head. I'm not really consciously doing it generally. So I guess like whatever that line is, it'll just immediately go into like the first form that that comes to my subconscious mind, I guess. Almost the whole time I've been doing these songs, I was working at Starbucks, and there was a lot of like spacing out. I mean, I had lots of time to think when I probably should have been, you know, sweeping or whatever. But I think lately, just because of my particular age right now, I'm a little bit obsessed with time passing. I realized recently that I've written way too many songs about like getting older, and so I kind of hate that I'm doing that, but I don't want to, since that's what's coming, I don't know, I don't want to like question my muse too much, or it'll not give me anything for like a year, probably. I feel like there's still a lot that can be done with somewhat direct, you know, sort of lyrical storylines. But I think there were, I don't know, a lot of that like old standards. I mean, they're really eloquent, sort of like well-constructed songs. I think that's that whole idea. I mean, I understand those songs were made so that anyone could sing them. You know, they're made, it was like professional songwriters writing like songs for all time. Summer Song, I think I got more attention for that on blogs and stuff than any one song that I'd released previously, which was really cool. I like the idea, I kind of like the idea of songs just floating out in space. I like the idea of like a free single that will never be on any sort of medium. It's just, but you know, once it's out there, it's actually, it has much more longevity, I think, than it would on a hard copy. Because you know, there's always going to be somebody with a hard drive somewhere that still has it. You know, I guess we'll see where that all goes. The way I feel about it is that I wouldn't want to live in a world without pop music, and sometimes I'm not 100% proud of it, that that's what I'm doing, because it feels sort of self-obsessed or something like that. But I feel like somebody's got to do it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want it to not exist, and someone's got to do it, and I'm 99% certain that there's nothing I could do a better job at. So, I mean, just in a very pragmatic sort of way, I feel like this is what I should be doing.
I surely know it's been so long, 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 but I don't believe it could be gone, gone, gone. It gets so dark, but then